Good morning, everyone. Let me thank the press for coming and helping us to get an knowledge of the masses. And I do believe this to be exceedingly important because it involves a public service. I'm Al Green. I'm a member of Congress. I'm not a spokesperson for the United States Postal Service. I believe that the United States Postal Service should be making these statements today or should be addressing the press. I have met with members of the Postal Service and explained to them that I believe they should be making statements to the press. I don't think written communiques are enough. I think the Postal Service has a duty, a responsibility, and an obligation to come before the press and explain the circumstances that are causing mail packages to be late. Some of them are exceedingly late. Some of them are very important. And you cannot in any way know what's in a package. Therefore, because you don't know what's in it, you have to assume that every package is important. Every package may have something that can actually have circumstances associated with a person's life. So we are going to ask the Postal Service here and now to come forward, meet with the press, establish a system such that you have a customer service representative available at the site out at the Missouri City annex that you have, such that they can explain to the public circumstances related to mail that the public perceives to be in the facility out of Missouri City, because the public receives information. These are your customers. They receive information indicating that their packages are in this facility and they'd like to have an opportunity to visit with someone. Phone calls are great if the phone is being answered by a person who can give information. You'll hear more about phone calls and how phone calls are not functioning as expected. Phone calls can work, but they apparently are not working for a good many people currently. It is my opinion that where you have few facts, you have a lot of speculation. And there is speculation now about what's going on at the facility. I'm not the person who can tell you what's actually happening because I haven't been there yet. I do plan to tour the facility along with my colleague who is not with me today for reasons associated with business that she's taking care of related to the government. This is Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia. Congressman McCall has also indicated an interest in this and will be working with us, so this is bipartisan. But I think that these facts can best be addressed by people who are intimate with the facts, who understand what's happening, and who can point to things that are good and point to things that they plan to improve. I think the Postal Service should do this. Now, while I don't work for the Postal Service, I am a member of Congress, and I have voted for hundreds of millions of dollars to support the Postal Service. I believe that the Postal Service is a necessity in this country. I want it to be the best in the world. And right now, given what's happening in the Houston area, I am concerned about the delivery of mail. I'm especially concerned about what's happening currently, but I'm also looking to the future. And as I look into the future, I'm concerned about the upcoming election. I'm concerned about mail ballots. I'm concerned about what can happen if ballots are not handled timely and appropriately. I'm concerned about how this can impact an election. So I beg the Postal Service, let's make sure that we get this right before we enter into the election season and we have all of these many ballots that you will have to function and negotiate with as we take care of the next election. Lastly, before I go to persons who are going to speak, I want you to know that they are experiencing growing pains, the Postal Service. I understand this. But the growing pains have to have with them an appreciation for what these pains are doing to the public. There's an adverse impact on many members of the public. We have three people that will be giving us their statements today. Their statements relate to packages that were to be received by them. I have information here for the press to focus on at some point if you'd like to, This is what they have received explaining the status of their packages. This information is important to them, and I'd like for the public to get an opportunity to see how this has functioned. But these three persons will explain in their own words the circumstances that they've had to deal with. The first person that I will call on, we will refer to as Miss Anonymous. Miss Anonymous. And we will do so because, quite candidly, her troublesome situation is one that she would not want to have published with her name associated with it. So Rachel, would you bring this so that I can place it near the microphone, please? We have a speaker system that we will be utilizing that seems to work quite well until we really need it. So Miss Anonymous, you are there, aren't you? Okay, we'd like for you to explain your story, if you would, to the public at large. You're on speaker, so you may start now, if you would.
Yes, so I had actually purchased a dress in early October.
Okay, now what was the reason for purchasing the dress?
Oh, yes, it was actually for my wedding. It was my wedding dress, and I had purchased it in early October, and they said that, you know, they would ship it out by December, like early December, and they shipped it out, I guess, like around like December 21st or 22nd. And my expected delivery back then was like December 27th or 28th. However, it did come to Missouri City, like Texas, but then I guess it just went back to Virginia. Like after, you know, I don't know, after it was just stuck there for like 10 days, it went back. And then the lady who had made the dress for me, she shipped it again on January 3rd or 4th. And again, it was the same issue. Second time she shipped it out to me. And again, both the times the address was the same. Everything was the same. Like there was no like issue with my address, nothing. But for some reason, it just kept getting stuck at Missouri City, the new facility over there. And this time it got shipped. It was stuck in Missouri City. And then for some reason, it just went to in transit. And after that, they told me, oh, it's here, or it's in North Houston. Oh, we don't know where it is anymore. We don't know what the shape of the package is. We don't know what the color of the package is. Oh, don't worry, we didn't lost it. It's somewhere here. We need to find it. Like they kept telling me things. So then I took matters in my own hands. The week of my wedding, Friday, I had gone to the Missouri City facility. And I was standing outside in the cold for I think an hour. No one was really opening the door. Eventually, I think someone did open after an hour of just waiting. It was a custodian. I think he felt really bad for me, and he opened the door for me. And he said that he'll speak to the supervisor. The supervisor came out, and he said without even checking anything, without my tracking number, he just said, "Oh, we don't have your dress. It's not here. It has to be in North Houston." So then I went to North Houston, and thankfully someone over there helped me. But it was, but over there, they kept saying that, oh, it's here, but it's not here. Maybe you need to check Missouri City again, and we'll get back to you in 2 days, 3 days, and then that 3 days became a week. I got married. You know, I had to borrow someone else's dress that I had to pay for, of course, because I rented her dress out. But yeah, it was very eventful because not only did it kind of, I guess you could say, mess up the biggest day of my life, but I didn't get to ever see that dress. I don't even know where it is. Even now when I check my USPS status, it still says in transit. I don't know where it went. And I bought insurance for the dress, and for some reason they say they only cover up to $100, but my dress was well over $1,600. And now USPS isn't giving my money back. They lost the dress. God knows where my dress is, and it's just been a mess.
Thank you. If you'll hold for just a moment, I'm going to allow press to ask you questions before I go on to the next person, if there is a question. Is there a question for Ms. Anonymous? All right. Having no questions for you, we will excuse you. I know that you're at work, so thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. And if we need you, we'll call you back.
All right, perfect. No problem.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Our next person that you will hear from is Ms. Ramirez. Ms. Ramirez has been very dutiful in taking care of a veteran. She will tell you the relationship that she has with the veteran, but she has had a troublesome experience with some medication. And I will allow her to give you the rest of the details and any additional information that she'd like to give you about her status with the veteran. If you would, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you, thank you.
Come stand here,
Oh,
please.
okay, very
stand,
good.
Stand in front of the microphone.
Okay,
A little more.
all right.
Okay.
Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to thank Congressman Green for being the voice for the voiceless, because I've tried just about everything I possibly can, including calling the White House, because I've been my dad's caregiver for 15 years. I already lost my mom. I only have my dad left, so I'm going to fight for him as hard as I can until God decides to take him. Anyway, I just want to say my name is Irene Ramirez. I'm here today because my 89-year-old disabled Marine Corps vet father could not be. He receives his health care from the VA, for which we are grateful, as he receives excellent care there. He has a heart condition which requires daily medications. Without these medications, my father would end up in the emergency room or worse. We requested a refill of one of those medications on January 4th, and it arrived in Houston the next day. It has been stuck in the postal system in Houston for the last 18 days. Calls to the 1-800-USPS number can regularly say the wait hold is 1 or 2 hours or more. But they usually disconnect after more than an hour on hold. Formal online inquiries have USPS asking you to input a 26-digit tracking number, 1 or 2 digits at a time. But once finished, it often runs into unexpected errors. If you finally do get the 26 digits accepted, it then says, "This package is ineligible for inquiry." I understand we are all fallible humans, but when the failures are ongoing and administrative and put people's lives at risk, I feel we need to stop and quickly reverse course. I sincerely hope the time for excuses has passed and the time for a remedy is near. For this, I want to thank Congressman Green for bringing this important issue to light and that much closer to resolution. That's
Thank
it.
you. And we'll take questions in just a moment. We'll
Okay.
hear from our next speaker. Our next speaker is someone who has some special knowledge of how the system is supposed to work, the system that we will call the Postal Service system. She has been associated with this system for many years. She's a retiree. I believe her years of service would be about 19. And she has had a troublesome experience as well. So at this time, we'll ask Ms. Wiedrich to give her statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Al Green, for giving me the opportunity to try and figure all this out. I work for the post office, and I also basically know a little bit about what was supposed to happen with a package. I had 2 packages. I ordered both of them on January the 2nd. And I didn't get no tracking number until about the 4th, and then so my first package only came from Georgetown, which you can drive there and come back in. It took 9 days for it to get to me, because it went to this is what's so weird is I don't understand why this package traveled farther than I do when I'm on vacation. It came from Georgetown, then it went to Austin, and then it actually went to North Houston, where that's where it should have gone to Magnolia. But then it went to Missouri City, then it went to San Antonio, then it came back to Missouri City, and then it finally made it to Magnolia. That was my first little package. This other package came from California. This is the package that I'm actually more worried about, because it actually came in the priority box of the U.S. Post Office. If we ever saw a box that was a U.S. Post Office box that was, let's say, treated more urgently. The package wasn't damaged or anything, but it stood in Missouri City. I ordered it on the 2nd, and the package sat in Missouri City, came to Missouri City on the 4th. Then it went in transit on the 8th. So from the 4th to the 8th, it was in Missouri City. Then it finally came to me in Magnolia on the 19th. I mean, these are just packages that mine was medicine for, because I got the crud like everyone got, and I literally was, like I tell people, I coughed so hard that my invisible muscles were hurting. When I laid down, I literally sat up for 3 days to sleep, because when I laid down, I couldn't stop coughing. And so, yeah, my concern is I don't think Missouri City should actually be a distribution center. It never was. That's why we have the big facility in North Houston to actually do all the surrounding cities for this area. I actually didn't do all the stuff she did, because I actually did find the Missouri City telephone number, and I called it, and literally I called it 6 or 7 times, and after the 3rd time, I started counting to see how many times the phone rings. It rings 10 times, and then it cuts you off. Nobody ever answered the phone. Even if you made any calls, you can't talk to anybody. There's nobody there. It's like an abyss. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congressman Green.
Let me thank both of you and return this to you. I am saddened by all of this. There is still much work to be done. After this press event today, Ms. Ramirez and I will go over to the VA. The VA has been involved with her case. We talked to them on Saturday, and they are going to assist with the medication. So she and I will go over to the VA immediately after this press conference to see if we can acquire the medication that has been delayed for much too long. We will continue to press for other packages that have not been delivered, and some that have been delivered. We are grateful for the deliveries having taken place. As it relates to the wedding dress, some things can never be undone. This was a wedding. This was one of the most important days in her life. And she did not have probably the most important piece of paraphernalia associated with a wedding. When the bride enters, everybody looks at the dress. It's the dress and the bride. That is the center of a wedding, the centerpiece, if you will. She, quite frankly, is not only stressed, she's also a person who doesn't feel it appropriate to be public about her personal affairs. We refer to her as Miss Anonymous. If you happen to know her name by some means you've acquired it perhaps, I would ask that you kindly not submit it. She has made this request of me, and I've tried to honor it, and I would ask that you, as members of the press, that you would do a similar thing. She's a very private person, and a wedding was her private event, and it did not go off as planned for many, many months after many, many months of planning. What will we be doing going forward? Well, several things. I have my staff drafting a letter that I will talk to colleagues about, and I'm considering sending that letter to the House Committee on Oversight that actually has oversight of the Postal Service. The Postal Service is a quasi-governmental entity. So I will have this House Committee take a look at it, assuming that I choose to go forward after talking to some colleagues. But I think that we may ask in that letter for an actual oversight hearing here in the 9th Congressional District. That's where the Missouri City plant is located. I think it would be appropriate for us to do so given the empirical evidence that we've shared with you today, coupled with other evidence that we have, wherein we have now approaching 90 persons who have contacted our office with concerns. Many others have contacted various stations, television stations, about concerns as well. But I may be asking for a hearing. I will let you know if I move to this point. I really would like to see what's available to be seen before I send the letter. I'd like to see the facilities, the South Side facility and the North Side facility. Ms. Garcia, Congresswoman Garcia, will be with me. As I said, she's not available. She's on government business currently, and she couldn't be with me. If she could, she would. She will probably be with me. I'm confident she will be with me. In fact, I'm going to wait until she returns before taking this tour. Both facilities are important to both of us and important to all of you and all of the population in the Houston area. So we will send this letter. We will also continue to press for someone to answer the concerns of the people who are going to the Missouri City complex. There ought to be someone on site. You ought not go there and have some person just happen to see you and give you information about your package. That's not asking too much of the Postal Service. That's not asking too much of a business that is functioning because it has had a good deal of support from tax dollars. Tax dollars over the years have been used to support the Postal Service, that I support, by the way. I want to keep it functioning, but it has to function as intended. Too many things are going wrong. The Postal Service is not a secret society. It has to be opened up. There has to be transparency. There are people who are paid good money to come before the press, look the cameras in the eye, and answer your questions. I am not that person, but I want that person to come before the press and speak to you so that you can have your follow-up questions and get to the bottom of what's going on. Quite frankly, I think that there may be a fairly good explanation. I don't think that a good explanation can be a great excuse, but you can have an explanation that is not a good excuse. The explanation seems to evolve around new technology. People are addressing the technology and acquiring the necessary skills to utilize the technology appropriately. All good things. But here's the problem. You ought to test the technology before you put it into actual use. You should have some sense of how this is going to function, because the packages should not be delayed. They should be delivered timely and appropriately. Now, I'm going to just mention one of these because I want you to get a sense of what you can see. And I probably, Rachel, no, I can't take it over with me, can I? Okay, well, use my pointer. All right. Let's go to the wedding dress, Rachel. The wedding dress? Okay, the wedding dress. Okay. All right. With the wedding dress, you can see here, this is Alexandria, Virginia, and this is January 6th. I don't know whether your cameras can get that close, but January 6th. And this is when the shipping label was created, and this is when the item then would move to its next point where we have some indication of what the contact was. It was in Virginia again on January 6th, and this is the point of origin facility, and then it moves on to where it arrived in a regional origin facility. That regional origin facility is a place that received it on January 6th as well. This is a distribution center in Maryland. And then we move up to another place, a regional facility, distribution center in Maryland, January 6th. So it's traveling in January 6th. But then on the 8th, it arrives at a facility in Missouri City, January 8th, 5:36 a.m. January 12th, it indicates that it went to the next facility, arriving late. I'm assuming that that facility might be the Northside facility, but I can't tell from what is here. But this is the kind of information that the customer receives, and I wanted you to see this so that you can understand how little they know about their packages, just enough to know that it's at the Missouri City Center, but not enough to know where it has moved to after leaving the Missouri City Center. Now, Miss Anonymous went out to the Missouri City Center, and I actually talked to her while she was there. She was under a good deal of stress, and she left there to come to my office, but she was told by someone that it might be at this Northside facility, so she went to the Northside facility and did not get it when she arrived there. And to this day, she has not received her wedding dress. I don't mean to overemphasize the wedding dress. The medication is exceedingly important, so please, I in no way would I want to say that one of these items is more important than another. I use this one because we still don't have the dress. $1,600 is what she has indicated she paid for it. In fact, she said more than $1,600. And she now has no dress, wedding taking place, had to borrow a dress, acquire a dress from some other source. This is kind of shameful, to be very honest with you. This is a shameful circumstance for us to have to deal with. I am of the opinion that somehow she ought to be compensated. And I'm not sure how that will happen, to be very honest with you. But I just believe that in a righteous world, she would be compensated. So I'm hopeful that she will get some compensation. And finally, before I take your questions, we're going to pass this out to each of you. Tequila, if you would. This document is styled Texas 2 District Delivery Operations. Texas 2 District Delivery Operations. And it has information concerning what has happened in 3 sites that were singled out in 2 districts. Now, that's not congressional district. These are districts that the post office has. This document speaks for itself. I'm going to allow you to read it and draw your conclusions about what's happening at these various facilities. You'll have it yourself. You read it. I am not impressed. I am not impressed. I think there is still work to be done. I would have anyone who has a package that you have not received, and if it's at that Missouri City site or you think it's there, you can call our office at 713-383-9234. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You call our office, and if you want us to look into it, make an inquiry on your behalf, we will make an inquiry on your behalf. We'll have to send you what we call a privacy release form because this is your personal information. We don't have the right to just decide we're going to look into your personal information because it's important. you'll have to complete the privacy release form and get that back to us. Which brings me to this point. A good many people who have called, of this nearly 90 people, a good many of them have chosen not to give us privacy release forms. So I'm not going to give their names and tell you why they called, because I didn't get a privacy release form from them. But for those that we do have privacy release forms, I can tell you that the issues vary greatly and that we are pursuing each one by making a congressional inquiry. So to summarize, we're going to continue to make the congressional inquiries. We will tour the two facilities. The UPS has indicated to us that USPS has indicated to us that they will allow us to come through. And I say allow because I don't have the authority to go over there and just say, open the door, let me in. But they've indicated that they will allow us to come through. And they've even gone so far as to say that we could have gone last week. But as you know, we were in Congress last week. There was some important business related to the government that had to be taken care of. So we could not get here to do it last week. And my colleague is out of town currently, not available, taking care of government business. So when she's back and we can get a date, we'll tour the facilities. That's the second thing. The third thing is we hopefully will not have to send a letter, but I'd like to see the facility. I'm currently drafting a letter because I have enough empirical evidence now to ask for the oversight hearing. And I'll ask for a hearing here if I think it is necessary for us to do so. A hearing here in Houston, I say here in Houston, in the 9th Congressional District. My district spans 3 counties. So it could be in Houston, not necessarily in Harris County, could be in Fort Bend County, could be in Missouri City. We'll decide on the location. My point is we might ask for this. And finally, we would want you to know that we believe that the United States Postal Service cannot function or continue to function as a closed entity, responding only with written communications. I think that they should be transparent, and I think that they should come before the public. And I also believe that the local people that I have had an opportunity to work with have been very responsive to me. I think this is something that is related to the administration in Washington, D.C., and I believe that those administrators at some point will have to put their hands, their fingerprints on this to help us get it resolved. With that said, I welcome any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
Congressman, on Friday you said that you had received the Postal Service Office Inspector General report.
This is a report that we have received. And I'm glad you brought that up. I also have an appointment to meet with the Inspector General. Okay.
Sit down. I just need something to support myself.
Okay. All right. Are you okay now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. If you can sit if you like.
No,
Okay. All right. I have an appointment to meet with the Inspector General. I won't announce the date of it now, but Ms. Garcia and I will be meeting with the Inspector General to call some of these things to his attention and then to get some feedback on what can be done to improve the circumstance. So I think we're doing about as much as we can, but if somebody has another recommendation, I would gladly accept it and see if we can pursue it. Yes, sir.
Just looking at this very quickly, it looks like it highlights problems with individual and local post offices.
Correct.
And it says with delays, something they noticed was insufficient staffing and lack of vehicle availability. To your knowledge, is that an issue? Could that be an issue at the processing centers, the larger processing centers in Houston?
Well, they are very specific about where these things are happening in this report. And I would not associate them with another facility at this time. After I've had an opportunity to see it and ask them some questions, I might. But at this time, they are very specific about where these things are a problem. And there are problems. I would beg that you read this report just as this reporter is doing currently. And you'll see that there are some things that are very troublesome, very troublesome. Okay, the next question? Yes.
You last week referenced, and again today, about customer service of
Yes.
some sort in Missouri City. What benefit do you think that would be, aside from the folks showing up and hoping to speak to someone directly?
Well, I think that's a benefit. I would not minimize having somebody that you can talk to give you some intelligence, some information about your circumstance. I think that's a pretty good thing to have, because persons have indicated that when they call, they're not getting the attention that you would merit with a phone call. There is no one, when you go out there now and you knock on the doors, there's not a person designated to come to the door and say, here's, come in, let's talk about your circumstance. It's raining now. I would think that they would have some space carved out so that persons can come in and talk about their circumstance. If they don't, then the congressional office is going to be that place for people to contact. But I'm not an agent for them. I am not a spokesman for them. I will do all that I can to help the public get its mail. I'm an advocate for having mail delivered timely and appropriately. I'm an advocate for that. That's why I'm working with these persons with me today who have suffered some delay in their mail.
Since your letter, what more have you heard from USPS, if at all?
Well, the letter has not been responded to the extent that I have received a response. Now, if it's in transit, I will respect them for that. But I have not received a response to the letter just yet. We're waiting for a response. And if I don't get one, they'll get another letter. And at some point, if all of this does not help us, then we're talking about the hearing that I mentioned, wherein we'll have an oversight hearing, hopefully, have it here in the 9th Congressional District. And if that does not help us, then we will move to talk to the Postmaster General about it. If that doesn't resolve it, then we'll move to have oversight hearings in Congress about this. And if that doesn't resolve it, then we will take some, what I might call extreme action that will all be lawful, but will not be what we would ordinarily do to try to get their attention. Because sometimes to get the attention of people, you have to have other people to help you. And the public seems to be in the mood to help by expressing their displeasure at one of these sites, just to let people see that there are people who are extremely concerned about these things. So there are many things that we can do. I have not in any way concluded that this is the end. This is just one step along a journey to make sure that the mail is delivered timely and appropriately.
Are there any laws or regulations to protect consumers who are harmed by these package delays, maybe refunds or reimbursements?
Well, I don't know, is quite candidly is the answer. I don't know. I do know this, that aside from the congressional office, there is a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'm not sure to what extent they handle this type of circumstance. I will be looking into that, and I will look into laws that you've called to my attention. But thus far, I've not found a law that deals with redress, and that's what you're talking about. Although I think there ought to be redress. I haven't found any laws that deal with redress. But my search has not been come to conclusion just yet.
Earlier you mentioned growing pains within the Postal Service. Can you explain what those growing pains are?
There seems to be an increase in volume of mail. This was evidenced over the Christmas holidays when they had more than 20 million pieces of mail. I think it was some 24.1 million thereabout. Don't hold me to that number, please. But more than 20 million, I'm confident. And they indicated that this was growth over last year. They apparently, perceiving that they have this growth, they decided to open this second processing center in the south side of the city. It is my understanding from sources not directly associated with the administration that this center was opened a bit prematurely, that they intended to open it later on, but apparently, for reasons that I cannot explain, they decided to do it as they have done it. I'm concerned, as I believe the public is concerned about the inundation of mail ballots that they will receive, and or mail related to the election that they will receive. And I want to make sure that this flows as it should, timely and appropriately. But I believe that your question is one that can be best answered by someone associated with USPS. They have people who are paid to do this. And I cannot for the life of me understand why they won't answer reporters who want to ask questions. This is not a secret society. It's not something that's esoteric. It should be known to all how it functions. And my hope is that they will come out of those offices before the public and answer the questions. And until they do, we'll continue to take the complaints.
Have you heard from any fellow members of Congress around the country that their areas are having these issues too, or do you think this is a Houston area issue?
Well, this report deals with what I would call the greater Houston area. I have not heard because I've not made an inquiry. And I have indicated that if I think this is pervasive, then I will say so. But Congressman McCall, who is not from the Houston area, generally speaking, has indicated his desire to associate with what we're trying to accomplish. So my belief is that he has a good reason for this, because he's not on the Committee of Jurisdiction. He is the chairperson of Foreign Affairs. So if it's pervasive, I will let you know, because if it is pervasive, then that means that we really do have to do some things across the country before the election, because the election becomes the acid test for whether your system is going to function as intended. And I didn't want it to be the acid test. I think it would have been far better and will be far better for us to say, okay, what happened at Christmas was the acid test. We didn't quite get it right, but they'll get it right for the election.
Before,
Yes.
I guess, the November election, we have the primary coming up in a few weeks. Do you think it could be resolved before then?
I hope so. Because I don't understand fully the nature of the problem, it would be difficult for me to prognosticate a timeline. I really don't understand the full extent of it there.
Kind of stress that to USPS about the upcoming.
Yes. Oh, Congresswoman Garcia and I, when we met with them, we stressed that. Yes, we did. We made it known to them that this was very important. You see, we are not new to this. About a year or so ago, we were out at the North facility because of concerns with delays in the mail. So this is not our first, to borrow a phrase that we all are familiar with, rodeo, okay? It's not. We've done this before, and we plan to pursue it again to its logical conclusion.
One more thing for me. You've mentioned, we've heard from these nice women who have had trouble getting in touch with the post office. I know from a reporter's end, it's very challenging to get answers from the Postal Service. Are they responsive and working with you when you've asked to go and tour their facilities? Are they open to that? Have they provided any explanations, or are your inquiries falling flat?
Well, let's just leave it at their last response rather than go through how we arrived at it. And that is that they are amenable to having us come in to take the tour. So we'll see if that occurs. If it doesn't, we'll let you know. But what you said about not open to the press, that it really disturbs me. And I told them when I met with them that my expectation was that they would come before the press and answer questions about the service issues. I told them that I expected this, and I told them that if they did not do so, that I would tell the press that I told them I would make this request. So I don't understand why they assume that they can simply avoid speaking to the press when they are a quasi-governmental entity, when they've received billions of dollars from the federal government, when they're going to receive more money from the federal government, when they have a line of credit with the federal government. They ought to be standing before the cameras answering these questions. And we're going to push them in that direction. Yes, ma'am.
The packages from today that we see are from early January receipts and have been in process or in transit throughout the month. When was the earliest time when we were seeing package delays currently?
Well, I think we have intelligence indicating that we received something in December. I believe that around December. And for edification purposes, this is not an issue that I went looking for. I did not go out asking people, how's your mail service? Are you satisfied with your delivery service? I was standing at a post office, minding my own congressional business, when a reporter approached me and told me something that I did not know. I had no idea that a facility had been opened up in my district. Now, for further edification, it's not necessary for the post office to notify me when they open up an office in my district or a distribution center. I'm not on the committee of jurisdiction, so that didn't disturb me. But the reporter, having acquired intelligence about this, approached me as I would expect a reporter to and asked me about it. And all I could do was indicate that I'd be willing to look into it. And as I've looked into it, I found that what was said to me was correct, and there was even more to be said about the nature of the problem. So I'm grateful for good reporting that has caused me to do something that may help us with our elections. Yes, sir.
Is it possible, can you step up to the mic and just pronounce your first and last name for all of us and spell it?
Yeah. Thank you for asking her to do it.
Brenda Weidrich, Weidrich.
How many years did you work for the Postal Service?
I worked for the post office for 19 years. Spring, yeah. That's where I got the jacket.
Do you still work there?
No, I'm retired. I'm too old to work there now.
What type of work did you do when you were with the post office, please?
Well, I went in as a carrier, and while I'm doing my carrier stuff, I ended up going through 4 rotator cuff surgeries. And how do I put this? You really need your shoulders to do a lot of this work. So my legs became my power horse. And then my knees gave out on me, so I had to go and have a knee replacement. And I already knew with all the things going on that I wasn't going to make it, because after I retired, I ended up getting this shoulder replaced. So I stick a
So you were a carrier?
Yeah, stick a fork in me, I'm done.
Okay. But while she's standing here, I want to acknowledge the workers and the outstanding work that they do. I would not have this become an issue that is placed on the shoulders of the people who deliver the mail or the people who work in these facilities. This is a planning issue. This is an issue that is associated with policy. Those workers do outstanding jobs, and I support them. I support the Postal Service, and I will continue to support it because we need it. But there is a necessity for them to demonstrate more transparency and for them to bring the facts about these issues before the public. Any other questions before we let you go and you let us go? Yes, ma'am.
Do you speak Spanish?
Yes.
Can you say something in Spanish?
Okay.
Okay.
So es su casa.
Okay.
Please
I'm
come
not
to
that good at Spanish. Okay.
Come here to the
Bueno.
microphone. A little closer.
Buenas tardes, me llamo Irene Ramírez. Estoy aquí tratando de resolver un problema que tenemos con el medicamento que no ha recibido mi papá. Es medicamento para su corazón y hemos estado esperando por más que 18 días. Este medicamento es la única manera que mi papá puede sobrevivir. Entonces, para mí es muy importante que este problema se venga a la luz y es gracias a el Congressman Green que estamos aquí. So, le doy muchas gracias.
Now, ¿me puede decir un poquito
Sí, mi papá, 89 años, y es un veterano, era de Marine Corps, y se fue en Corea y peleó allí en el mero frente. Estaba en un pozo por 6 meses. Entonces, eso sucedió que tiene muchas condiciones médicas y lo están cuidando con los veteranos, lo cuidan muy, muy bien. No tenemos ninguna queja contra de ellos. Solamente el problema es que cuando necesita medicamento para sobrevivir, entonces es algo muy serio y no se debe que nomás perder y no haber ninguna manera de recurso. Entonces el Congressman Green va a ir conmigo después de esto y juntos vamos a ir a recoger medicamento para que mi papá, si Dios quiere, siga viviendo.
¿Lo va a recoger a la
No, el Congressman va a ir conmigo al VA de Bakey y ahí nos van a dar 5 a 7 días de medicina, todavía esperando porque aquí estamos desde el 5 al 19 todavía y hoy el 22 todavía no lo recibimos.
¿Es la primera vez que pasa esto?
No, pasa muy seguido, pero está peor ahora. Casi siempre esperamos unos 4 o 5, quizás una semana más, pero al momento ya es 18 días. Okay, so, de nada.
She impressed me. Thank you for that question. Any other questions before we conclude, friends? Just a concluding comment. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I believe that this is going to inspire the Postal Service to do something more. I believe your communicating this message is going to make a difference. So I thank you for what you're doing. God bless you, and thank you. This concludes our press event. Okay, sure. She was- Okay.
We ordered it on the 4th through My Healthy Vet. They're really great. From Copper, we went on the 5th. Got notification the 6th, Missouri City 6th. Stayed in 11th, Missouri City, so that's 5 days. And ever since then,
Hope you'll get a good
we
shot.
have no idea where it's at. So it's from the 4th to the 22nd.
That's okay. You can borrow it anytime.
I have photos, yeah, of my dad. I definitely, let's see. In fact, I could be happy to send that to you. Do you have an, card? Yeah, because I could just send it to you. I just have to look for it. I had sent, yeah. So within 15 minutes, is that okay? Perfect. Okay, perfect. I'll just,
Irene, is
Yes.
it regular Irene?
Just Irene, yes, Ramirez, just
Ramirez.
R-E-Z, yes. Thank you so much.
What is your dad's name?
My dad is Daniel Ramirez.